Welcome back, warm welcome, and very lovely to have this momentum that we create together collectively. So how is it going? How was the homework? I think it was 4 steps and using images and reminders. Do let us know. And would like to share with you because I do find quotes, they give another angle on things. This one by Einstein: not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. A little riddle with language. I don't know how it works in Russian. But yesterday, this feeling that science is authority on what we can count, but not on what we cannot measure in a laboratory or recreate in a lab. So a product of that is that we're kind of forced to operate with what we can count in the box, and keeping the intellect at that level, it really has repercussions. Another quote, which I think is unknown: we come with nothing, we leave with nothing. In between, we fight for everything. And it's sort of nice to get a snapshot of that. And it's such a beautiful thing if we can tap into that mindset: losing nothing, lacking nothing. As you come, so you remain the same. There's nothing to lose. And the chapter can come to an end, but it's not the end of the experiencer, as was mentioned, that continuity. Perhaps we all have a reference point for that continuity. So yes, coming back to being involved, but not taking sorrow. What a wonderful thing to really get into the psyche. So yeah, please share your reflections. Meanwhile, welcoming back Prashant. Good evening.
Thank you, and hello, and welcome back. Greatly appreciate your enthusiasm and staying in the marathon. Yesterday we saw just from another angle the basic ideas. Most important within this is the notion of the self. We have to bring it from many angles because that becomes the foundation for many other things. Once you have realized who the true self is, then question arises: what am I doing without even knowing the true self? What am I working for? And in a true sense, the human lives, they are upside down. We don't even know what we are losing as a result. And we have the option to get ourselves right way up. Science, because at present we want some endorsement from science. I'm talking here more a society. If not you, some of your friends, your students, they will say, where does science fit in here? If this is true, why they are not teaching us in the university? So we all need to have some clarity about this. And that's why yesterday's discussion. Let us create some time and come to the experience. And as was said, the easy method for us is use the best intellect. It is like using new glasses. And we see that from morning, we have been dealing with the story. everything that happened in a story. We ask if we had this awareness an hour ago. Well, how was the day spent? Did we see this as a story? Or did we get completely lost in it? We are just questioning, but right now that helps us to wake up to the reality behind the story. And behind the story is silence. There is no noise of the story. We see this world in the image of a sky. And the most fascinating aspect of this world, it is timeless. And everyone here is immortal. That changes the game completely. The true self becomes conscious in this environment. And for the true self to know that he is immortal is the biggest thing. He is immortal and he is beyond harm. Nothing can harm him anywhere, not even the slightest. Story cannot harm anyone. Even if you make a big film based on the story, it is still a story and it cannot harm you. True self, for him, it is normal to be the invisible presence. He is happy to see himself like a tiny point, but conscious, living. Aware that is the real one. And the most important, and he is the invisible traveler. He's almost like flying past the story world. An invisible traveler is the invisible actor. Very happy with that. But knows that story is separate and he is independent from the story. 100% separate. Story may come to an end and it is not his problem because he has not created dependency in that story world. Just this one step, not creating dependency, that is enough for him to experience his super sensuous experiences. He discovers his original happiness and contentment. Carefree. He stays in that noble mindset, noble personality, where silently relaxed and feeling full, lacks nothing and needs nothing, misses nothing. And every scene of the story is a great gift. It's just like a guest in that story world. Very different perspective. As we continue on the journey, we understand the immensely beautiful secret of this invisible traveler. Thank you. We will be coming to the board. As always, we start with this whiteboard. And we are very welcome to interact. We like to hear your comments and questions. And here I want to draw this we are showing that below this line is our world. And in this world are all the goodies, many. So there is the body, and there are people, and there are all the goodies of this world are in this world. And if we are from Europe, European Union, that is supposed to be car. So we are finding ourselves in this world. The model that we are seeing, the invisible actor is the invisible witness. He is traveling, and he has an exit. And during this journey, and that if he was just understanding, oh, that is a story, just like we gave the example on the first day, the actor is acting the part of a camel, and there's a camel and elephant and dragon drama. He is there for 10 minutes and he's going past. Camel drama is an extra experience. It would have been the same for this invisible traveler and the invisible actor. He is associated with this drama in which there is Prashant and there are many things going on here, and there is an exit. The drama was nice. It is harmless. It was an extra gift. And he would be very clear of his exit. Ideal scenario would have been this. But what we also see, things are in reality slightly different. In what way they are different? There is this downward spiral. This drama has got glitter, gold, cakes, and a song. And so there is lots of activity happening there, and that has power to draw you in. You get drawn into, everyone is pulling you in, and gradually it is happening in a gradual way. You are getting impressed and you want to own something, and you like some corner somewhere, and all the time you're getting sucked into this. And as you're getting sucked, you are disconnected from your world. So there is an amazing world. Your home is a supreme reality. And you are getting disconnected from your world. What happens next? You are disconnected from your world. You are disconnected from your family. That's fine. What else? What happens next?
After being disconnected from the world.
Your world, yeah, you are disconnected from your own home because you are getting drawn into this world of goodies. There's lots of glitter here and lots of cakes. You can't wait. You keep thinking about these nice songs, and you are getting disconnected from your home, and you are disconnected from your family. What happens next?
You feel insecure as a result, and you forget who you are.
Very good. You get disconnected from yourselves. That is the big thing. You are so drawn into this. You compromise truth about yourselves, disconnected from yourselves. And this is where the subject of identity and false identity comes in. When you're disconnected from yourselves, you then have to define yourselves by something, and you end up defining yourselves based on things of this world. So this brings us to the subject of identification. We mentioned yesterday that we want to talk about this. As you will see, this is a very, very important subject because it rules our world. Many things that are happening in the world is dictated by this phenomena, identification. What is this identification? The translation, hopefully there is a nice word to describe it, but I'll give an example and that will give us an idea what we mean by this identification. Example is of John Lennon and one of his fan, his name is Chapman. He absolutely loved John Lennon. John Lennon doesn't know him, but he worshipped John Lennon. He would listen to his music, has his photographs. So that was going on. His hairstyle was like John Lennon. And then time came when this Mark Chapman started to feel he is John Lennon. He himself is John Lennon. This is a feeling he was getting. And this is called identification. When you feel it is you, I am somebody, someone else is me. One actor and a good friend of mine, he was playing a part in a theater. Let us say the name of the actor is Robert, and he is playing the part of James Bond. That was not a part, but let us say he was playing that part in a drama. Every day there is a performance. And in his words, what Robert said, he liked the part of this James Bond, and in time he started to feel he is himself James Bond. In his words, James Bond started to take over me. And he has to go to the doctors, and doctors told him to stop acting altogether. This is identification. So identification is not just you are using the word my, we can use the word attachment for that. I am thinking this is mine, feeling comes, this is mine. Someone gives you a plate of something to eat, and then someone takes it away. You feel, no, this is my plate. You feel, you already put a label, my, to it. So this would label my is one thing. Identification is one level further. You use the word I to it. Internally, you feel it is as if you. So here, James Bond, is a temporary part, but this Robert, he feels he James Bond. That is identification. I will give another example, and my example. And in this example, I am here visiting this house, and in this house, there is a plant. Nice plant, and I am asked to look after that plant. So I water this plant, I take care of the plant, this is happening. I'm here for a few days, but I look after this plant. And people say, oh, that plant is nice, and I like to hear this. And then one day, someone comes, let us, what name shall I call? You know, Christina. Christina comes and says, this plant is ugly. She says that plant is ugly. That's all. She just says, and I don't like that plant at all. It's an ugly plant. And I take the offense. You know, she did not say anything about me, but now I'm taking the offense. Why am I taking the offense? She did not say anything about me. Why am I taking the offense? The reason is, in this case, it is happening at a subconscious level. It is not conscious. In other cases, examples we gave, it was conscious. Mark Chapman really believed he is John Lennon, and he would speak like that. And he was in the psychiatry prison in time. Sorry, that was a sneeze. And I think I managed to reduce the sound.
Yep.
At a subconscious level. So here we are talking about the identification that is happening, how the identification happens with this plant. Here is a plant. I did not even know about that plant. Now I'm introduced to this plant. I'm taking care of the plant. And subconsciously, I start to feel this plant is part of me. It is like an extension of me, because I'm taking care of it. It is something. So other plants are nothing to do with me. This plant is something to do with me. And I feel justified. I feel, no, it's not a problem at all. Subconsciously, I give myself self-respect based on the plant, because everyone likes the plant. So it is a little bit of a reflection of me. I feel good about this. Subconsciously, I have given birth to an I based on the plant. One I takes birth, and that is based on the plant. He feels as if that plant is I. It is happening at subconscious level. Subconscious because he doesn't say I am plant. He feels that is a ridiculous, I am plant. But anything spoken about the plant, he takes it personally. He feels as if it is spoken about him. He feels pleased, he feels happy, he feels offended based upon the plant, because there is a I there created based on this plant. Do we identify like this? No, this is what the identification is. So do we identify like this? And if so, can you give other examples? Do you want to give? What are the other identities? In case if you can see some identities in your world.
So first thing that came was a pet, place of work, and the car we drive. Could also be nationality and religion, the house we live in, people, children.
Yes, very good. It can be anything.
Illness, someone wrote talents, gender, body, characteristics.
Yeah, absolutely. So we identify with the body, with the people, with the religion, with the ideas. And so there are lots and lots of these I created all over. I based upon children, I based upon body, I based upon clothes, based upon car. And they take it personally afterwards. The praise of it also becomes personal. Then I based upon a nation, based upon town, and it appears harmless. But what happens as they get bigger, you notice insecurity coming from there. And that is the problem. We said this world is an unpredictable world. It is not in our control. It is going to disappear. Everything within that world is going to disappear. So this I that is created, it is 10 times more insecure compared to any other attachments. Word my was already creating insecurity in us. But now the word I is used, it makes me 10 times more insecure. Why? Do you want to tell? Why? Why there is more insecurity? So much more sensitivity. Like someone is going to take away your cake. Okay, you don't quite like it, then there's someone taken away. But someone criticizes something in your life, maybe your dress, or it hurts a lot more than someone just taking something away. Why? Why are we so sensitive and so insecure when we create identity? Where the fear comes from?
Attachment. Someone's writing, saying that this identity is ego. It is like the pata intellect. There's not clarity.
Yeah, sure. What happens is when it was mine, the fear was of losing it. That was the concern, that I might lose something. I got this gold, I might lose it. But when it is I, the fear is of dying. If someone harms this I, you are interpreting it as a death. I die. So some job or some position or something. It may not be a big problem to you because you may have enough savings and you got money is not a problem. But there is identity. If the identity is created based on that job, it can be you are a president of some country, or it may be president of some institution, and suddenly it is removed. So internally there is a I based upon it, and you will feel it is dying. And without this, it is like a death. And this death is painful. Dying to that identity role. And so, all this insecurity, 10 times more insecurity, because I might die, this kind of interpretation, subconscious. And when you are 10 times more insecure, your angers are also bigger, and your stress is also bigger, and your envy is also bigger. Everything magnifies, you know, because of this. When you come into this false identification, remember the sketch we saw on the first day. When there is I, there is insecurity, and when you are insecure, there is desperation. And when there is desperation, there is stress. Will I get it or not? If you don't get it, there is anger. If you don't get it and you can't blame anyone, it takes the form of depression. Someone else gets it, you find yourself in envy. We discussed it in detail on the first day. Now this I has come. It is not just it is not just a little dependency, bondage, but I has come. So everything is multiplied. I say 10 times, but it is not just 10 times. It can be 100 times more. It depends upon how big the I is. If you have created this I that becomes bigger than your depression, all the in this world, people have depressions or angers and all kinds of revenge. This they can be drawn into these feelings, and reason behind, it can be can really affect their lives. 100% of the time, reason is I. If some identity that is created is attacked, and that's why there is a inner inner desperation, disappointment, depression, those kind of those patterns. You want to say anything? Feel free to say. Now let us, yeah, feel free to ask or say anything. Now let us come to this area of I. Now we said it may appear to be very, very innocent, so someone identifies with his, what's the big deal? It is just, sometimes people even praise one another's, they feed your identity. They say, oh, your children are so nice, they're so, and internally you take this reflected glory. You feel, oh, yes, yes, thank you very much. And then this I getting bigger and bigger. More you take happiness from it, that is what feeds that identity, gets bigger. And when it gets bigger, it is now ready to take offense more quickly. 100% of insults that are taken, they are because of this I. 100% of the wars that happen in this world are because of these false identities. But even in your own life, anger that comes sometimes, and 100%, they are often the dominant anger, not a little irritation, but anger from which you speak and act, they are because of the identity. Deeper inside, there is a. Yesterday we said someone takes a decision, I want to stop getting angry. But the success stories, when you hear them, these are the cases where they understood what they are identifying with. Understand? Internally, they realize, oh, I'm identifying with some, identifying with some another person, identifying with some position, and or sometimes identifying with a institution. Like one girl said, she was in another country. She worked for one company just for 2 weeks. And then she came to this country and she was in this city. And she said she identified with that company. Whenever people say anything about that company, she would take it personally. She just worked there for 2 weeks and she was already identifying with it. And she observed it, which is great. And once she has observed, then she was not affected by this, whatever that was happening. But sometimes this identity is so deep that they feel their anger is so much, their whole life is ruled by anger. And when they notice what they are identifying with, they notice the complete shift. These are good cases of success. They feel they see the absurdity of the whole thing. They like this girl, when she observed this, She said, "What is this silly? What am I doing?" That company which is in another country, she may not even go back to that company. And here she's taking offense based upon that, whatever people say. You may love the people there and you may like the company, but there is no need of anger. In this, they may be having some. Not many people mean what they say in the first place. But even if they mean, I can explain also. And I can explain why that company is really good. But this anger and envy, these are not necessary to deal with life. So this is what he realizes, and he becomes completely free from. And within that is a message for us. And that when any situation comes and that scratches you a little bit, and you find a little annoyed, you know, and that time, instead of just blaming others and going away, you are remaining introspective. It is not just blame game, but you are saying, why am I getting affected by this? There is no reason to get affected at all by whatever others say. That this is your positioning. And so if you are affected, there is identity. And you are trying to observe what you are identifying with. And you will get better at it. As time progresses, you will get better. Try and find out. And you might find, usually what was said, that gives you a clue. You may be identifying with some people, or you may be identifying with whatever, can be your car, can be your cat, can be your shoes, clothes, can be anything. You're identifying with something there. And if you realize that what you're identifying, you saw the connection, then 90% of the job is done. Because with that, you see the absurdity, and that becomes smaller. That identity becomes smaller. It may not disappear, but small. And so it doesn't get into, fire of anger. Someone asked, which identity is difficult to remove? We identify with many things. It is agreed. Identify with people, identify with objects, identify with job, and okay, lots of identities. We said clothes and religion and ideas. Which identity is difficult to remove? We are literally saying this is the seed of lots of our sorrows. We said 90% of our sorrows can be sent, in some cases 100% sorrow are because of this. We are literally saying, these wars are happening, 100% of these wars are because of these identities. Everyone is a loser as a result of that, but some identities of some people are involved. And so do you want to say, what is this? What is behind?
Is the question which identity is difficult to remove?
Yeah.
It seems like a big one would be. Here, another idea, family, one around that, around the nationality. That can be a deep identity.
Here we are seeing the identity that you have not seen. That is the most difficult to remove. It can be anything. It can be based upon your shoes. It can be, or it can be based upon your nation. In some cases, the religion may be the dominant one. But if someone says, I don't have an identity, and then, or he doesn't observe it in himself, then it will not go. Let us say if there is some dirt on my hand, let us say, and if I have not seen it, it will not just go, by itself. But if I notice it, then it may be very easy to wash and remove it. But if I have not seen it, it will stay. And same happens here. These identities, we need to see behind the outer form. Anger is the outer form. Identities are more subtle and they are not visible. And some effort has to be made to observe them. And once you start the process to observe other identities, become easier. We observe them in ourselves. There is no benefit in observing in others. And then you will also notice there are some identities that are based on an image. I am the one who is very kind, and people have to say that you are very kind. Another image, I am the one who is always punctual, always on time. I am the one who is nice. I'm good person, good citizen. You got some image of this kind. I am the one who is liked by people. Some images that we all can get trapped into this. Everyone else says that it is like you are that, you are that, and then you create an identity based on that yourselves. And once you create that identity, you are in this trap because this identity is insecure. It is nice to be kind, it is nice to be accurate, nice to be very virtuous, nice to be liked, but there is no need to create identity based on that. Remember, we said right at the beginning, you are far superior to any of these things in the camel and elephant story. Repeatedly come back to this. Here is a camel and elephant story. You are something very different, far higher, far superior. Angelic traveler. And camel may be kind and camel has to be accurate, and that is all, but that is not you. And stay in your true self-respect. But what we saw when we are getting disconnected from our world and then disconnected even from the self, then we are far more vulnerable to go into this ridiculous situation where you identify with anything there. It is absurd. People have to watch this and they will laugh at themselves. Some identify with their dogs in a big way. They don't realize what is happening. Identify with the shoes. But this is the way the world is. It makes our whole society fake, false. They all are so insecure and they all want others to feed their identities. They want to say that, oh, this is nice and that is not. Otherwise, they might start a war. And so they all have to uh, feed each other's identity. And then the things can progress further. If you don't feed that identity, they might take offense and create problem to you. Such is the society everywhere. All companies, all governments, all their board meetings. Here, this is like the huge obstacle in human functioning, like a parasite in the system. Do you want to say anything? Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think there will be many thoughts, and I'm hearing this and feeling that when we are in that true self-respect, it's not the words, is it? It's really the shift to feel the worthiness of this of the self. We use objective language to help because the I has been sort of orbiting our roles, associated roles, but that sweetness and that this security and fullness, when we kind of get that, I think that's from that position, it's easier because otherwise we're so steeped in it. It seems so normal in this world, but far superior, far higher. It's nice just to contemplate and get a feel of it. There was a question
Yeah.
about how can we enjoy life when we are not a part of it, standing on the sideline observing. So it's a bit like, this.
Yeah. Yes. And the first thing is truth. If I'm a guest, I'm a guest. And then you will realize that a guest enjoys more than anyone else in the place. So you are in the sideline. You don't say it is mine, mine, mine. We are just a guest. But guest has his own and a joy, lightness and freedom, and so he enjoys it more. Who enjoys your city more? Local people or tourists? You know, Local people don't take photograph of everything. Tourists take photograph because they enjoy it more. But the most fascinating thing that happens, in the guest is that one who is in this false identity, one who has forgotten he's a guest, he is in the victim mentality. Mentality itself is a victim. Yesterday we saw this. He is in the beggar mentality. His false identity, they are happy from the first moment. He is a victim. Everything is going well, but he sees himself as a victim. He is constantly begging, please be nice to me, love me, please praise me. This is going on. And he's in the slave mentality. And now he's very involved, but with the mind of the victim and the slave and the beggar, that is what spoils things. When someone becomes free from this, you enjoy it better. So don't worry about not getting fully involved. Your enjoyment will be superior. Carefree, you will be more carefree.
Yeah, it's very clear. You mentioned this phrase, a parasite in the system. So is it even possible to get rid of it? Because it can be very subtle.
Yeah, it is subtle, but we can get rid of it. And the secret for that is we have to get this invisible traveler. Yes, we have to reinstate. As if the king is not there, we have to bring back the king. And the king, if he's conscious, he can bring order in the kingdom. If he's not conscious, then there will be chaos. So here, there's a huge chaos, because king is not conscious, and our aim is to make the king conscious, bring him back to his place, to his throne. That is why different our repeated practices and paras, all of that favors this invisible traveler, helping the soul to become conscious.
When you start clearing the clutter, you understand what else is there to clear. The process, it supports itself. Yep. Yesterday there was a question and you said we might bring it today. How to let go of the feeling of being guilty or shame after doing something wrong?
Yeah, that is a good question. What happens is one I within us has got an image. I am the one who is very holy, or I am the one who never does anything wrong, or doesn't eat too much. Some kind of an image is created. And other I wants to do just opposite. His need, this I, he wants to eat more. That is his, or he wants to get a bigger hat, or So there's one I having one idea, and the other I has got other idea. And so this one I particularly feels guilty about what has happened, what is done. So when there are these in different I, there is more chances of one I feeling guilty or shame based upon another I. That is the way it happens.
That's helpful.
All of this,
Yeah, hopeful.
yeah, all of this is solved when we come to the true self-respect. Then true self-respect, when the true self is conscious, then it is not based upon what happens in the story. Story has a script, and you can say what the script is, but your self-respect is not based on that. There is an inner detachment. And you still want to do the right thing because innately, deep inside, you are loving and you are noble and you are happy. So you don't say it is a drama, I can just do anything. No, deep inside, you are divine being. And this is the truth of everyone. All are divine beings. And that is the way they operate in this world. I want to come to another short in this connection of this subject. If I was to take a photograph of the mind, or photograph of the soul, you will see a picture something like this. And what do you see in this picture? Yeah, selfie, so if someone takes a selfie. But if there is a right program, I don't know if there is a program for this, and this program takes selfie of the soul, then you will see within in your print many I there. One I is based upon your dog, one I is based upon your music, one I is based upon your religion, one I is based upon children. There are all these different I. Maybe one big I that you are the professor in mathematics in your university. Someone else may have even bigger I than the professor there, that she is the wife of the professor. So when all these I are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then what happens? The true I is getting smaller and smaller. The way we all start, our starting position is that we all are like this. 100% free from these false identities. When we are conscious of who we are, you are very conscious, you are just traveling through this story world, and you got your journey, you got your home, and everything else is sightseeing. This was very clear. That is represented by this image. And then at some point, as we saw, one eye takes birth, and then it gets bigger, and then another eye takes birth. We across the line. When we cross the dotted green line, then all this starts. Until it is complete chaos. They all are like mushrooming everywhere. And the true I is reduced to this tiny dot. Which means it doesn't disappear, seed remains. But at a practical level, all these different identities are ruling his mind and life. Your life is ruled by this. Which identity is ruling at any moment. You might feel at one, based upon feelings, emotions, which you are identifying with. Maybe based upon I'm just a body. Another time, if you are with children, you can get into the identity based upon the mother. You go somewhere else, they see you as a manager, you might get pulled into the identity of being a manager. So these are all drama-based identities. And you have used that drama to create a deep identity. Identity is not just a superficial role, but you define yourself based on that temporary role. To play a part of camel, let us say Robert is playing a part of a camel. He plays the part of camel, but he internally knows he's Robert. If he starts to feel he's the camel, that is when the identity is created. Identity means this. You feel I'm the camel and you get emotions. If someone says, I don't like this camel's nose, you take it personally. So that is what the identity is. And it is absurd situation, but because everyone is doing it, it appears normal. And we have created this society where 100% of the population is like this higher sketch that we see. 100% of the population, we have the whole lot is polluted. It is like an alloy within the soul. And because there is a problem at a deep level, it is obvious there will be problems at every other level. Whether it is body, society, all structures are infected because the foundation itself is wrong. That is answer. It is not something that we just give up. No, there are things we can change. And how do we change this? We change it every second we create time here. We change it. every second we give time here. That is where the practice comes in. We said invisible witness, becoming conscious, use the right intellect, see the bigger map. All this favors the soul, and then the soul consciousness grows. Just knowing of the soul is not enough, and it doesn't remove the alloy. This is like the soul is, alloy is right inside. To remove it, we have to create these minutes and minutes where this true soul consciousness is getting bigger, and false identities are becoming smaller. Yeah, let us hear some thoughts from you.
I think for some of us,
Anyone has identities? We call them ego. Ego is all this, all the identities put together. We call it ego. But ego is not just one ego. Here we are understanding ego is based on so many things. And it has got almost anything, yeah. Subtle and gross. Yeah, sorry, you are saying something.
just saying how it's from what I've observed, this is the shift because we can recognize spirituality, understand about the soul, believe in it, but unless alloy is removed, then we're caught up with this psyche. And it's quite a little bit frightening to see these eyes, but it's not really because there's an answer. But I feel this map, you have the psychology, which is just working with the little eyes. That's what we ordinarily identify with as well. But to know that we have this seed of everything positive to nurture and nourish. Because actually there was a question yesterday, perhaps I can bring it in now. How do I stop being a victim and put a stop to that beggar, mentioned yesterday?
Yeah. Yes, so as to remove these false identities is the answer. And they will go if the king is in place. We have to bring the king, make him conscious. That is what we are doing.
And in order to do that, we start with that
Yeah.
king.
Every minute, the different homeworks we have been experimenting with is to do the same job.
And I think this answers the question because we ordinarily don't know the true self if we've got the model that this physical world is defining us. So that disconnect from the self, we have to identify with something. So that therein starts the confusion. So we to have this working model or experience starting with guest, it's the key, isn't it? Not to deal with it in the dark and bring that light. There was a question about why people go on holiday, because you mentioned um, about that. Because
Yeah, sure. I wanted to say that today's homework will be a sketch, the beautiful sketch that you see here, to take a photograph of this sketch. I don't know. It will, we will understand what is going on here. But one thing we need to know within ourselves is false identities that are created. They get bigger as they get praised, nourished, fed. They get bigger, and these false identities then become dominant, rule your life. this is what has happened to everyone. And our big success is in removing these false identities. And at the question, do you mind to repeat the question? And the last question is.
Yeah, it's not directly related to this, but just you gave reference in the aspect about who are happier, and it was about whether we are just observing and on the side. You were saying, yes, people on holiday, yes, they enjoy. And the question is, why do people go on holiday and they need to go on another holiday when they get addicted to traveling? Is it to try to get this experience?
And it is possible in a limited way. They want to be in a place where these identities don't emerge, rule their life. Like an example, say you go for a walk, go into a forest for a walk. What happens when you are in the forest? Nothing there reminds you that you are manager or you are the mother or you are the sister. Nothing there to reminds you. And in a passive way, you come in that soul position. That's why you experience that peace. You like that experience. When you are in the world, the things around you constantly remind you of some identity. They bring you, whether there are children, there is job, there are telephones ringing. They all sort of constantly remind you of different things. So they superficially try to change this by going into the forest, going on a holiday, and then there is peace. Ultimate answer is we have to remove it head on rather than just escape into the forest. Just find the right method to remove this, and then you can be in the city, you can be in the family, you can be in the job, but these identities are not ruling your life and not ruling your mind.
It answers sometimes people share, I was in a big landscape and I felt such awe that I felt insignificant. And they say that's really nice. So maybe passively they feel that. Someone's asking, so rather than focus too much time on removing or recognizing false identity, should we spend more time nourishing the true self within and the false identities fall away naturally?
Yeah, that is what the method, the real method is this. That's why we are saying here, and emphasized also, we have to get the king in place. We have to make him conscious, and that's why the homework is around that. And when you are having that attention there, only then the false identities can go. If there is nothing to replace them, they will not go. But attention is on both fronts. Attention should be on all fronts.
Yeah, it's like vigilance. Um, so we have to see clearly the false identity as well and not engage with it. So what about other people that are close to us?
What about them? More soul conscious you are, you will be a better person, and more useful. When we are in these false identities, it is like a complete confusion. Each of these identity is a result of confusion. And that you necessarily need to cross that line. you are into that ignorance camp. And so if you are in clarity, you come out of that confusion. You know who you are, you know who others are, you are very clear of the bigger map, then you are very useful to others and very useful to yourselves. You might not be, you know, staying at a superficial level. They might like you to praise their cat, and they might like you to praise their fashion. You might not like to go, necessarily to jump in that, and they might mind it. You are not spending time on their birthday, and but they will be immensely grateful, for your change, and they will appreciate you. You are useful to them.
I suppose it's always unique, isn't it? Each situation. So for some, it may be that engagement, but not over the top, and then your exchange is more of quality rather than, as you say, lost in the pleasantry.
Yeah.
And that will be very nourishing for all. Someone wrote, "See them as travelers, and see that in them, which is nice, the vision." A question: what is the homework? Could you just remind that
And
sketch?
should I show that sketch? That will be important homework. Homework, if we are getting a huge homework from today's discussion, we have to remove the ego. This will keep you busy for a while. Remove all these false identities. And the first step would be to observe, whenever situations come and you notice that you are having some discomfort, observe what you are identifying with. So self-observation, that will be, necessary practice, in this today's homework. To add this to your other homework, that 4 steps practice we spoke on the other day, that has to go every day, but this is a addition to that homework.
Yeah, it's like stopping the waste, isn't it? Then we can be more busy with the best. Is it a good time for rooms?
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, what you feel about this question? What are the different kinds of false identification? And what's the answer to this?
Yeah, very good.
I've just put that in the chat. It's a big topic. I think we can just create a few moments to reflect for ourselves, and then we'll open up the rooms. So it's in the chat, and let's create a few moments, and it will open up. Thank you. Welcome back. I wonder if it was enough time to talk about the subject, but I hope you had. It's not never enough time. That's true. It maybe begins something. So just to create this little silence, always like the contrast. What is the beauty, sanctity of this true self? Thank you so much. And shall we hear from Sanjay your thoughts and experiences on this subject? Good evening.
Hello, everyone. Yes, this is a big, big subject. As we know, removing false identity can stop the wars all over, at home, at school, between friends. So we try to go deep, but we stayed on a surface level. And I like to share one identity that I used to have. Hopefully, I finished it. It's about, probably you already know, I was the best popcorn maker once, until one sister came and did a better popcorn than mine. So I was very offended. I lost my confidence about popcorns. But I already made my peace with this. But definitely there are more false identity, like at work, like in family. And it's good that there is that phenomena that or we don't like or we embrace. When I feel some irritation, offended, or something that bothers me, I can really become angry or some kind of negative behavior. But I now embrace this um, habit to look and use this to learn something more about myself and clean it, because the more cleaning is done, then less those situations come and less negative feelings. So it's an ongoing, I would say, work, but at one point it becomes an ongoing game, because when you play a game in a PlayStation, then you want to win situation and you maybe fall, you might be hurt in the PlayStation, but you like it because it challenged you and you go from one level to another level. So when one embrace this perspective and bring it into the real life, it becomes like a game. So you face something, you feel something wrong, you identify, and you go to the next level. And this is kind of making progress and in a fun way, in a joyful way. So very recommended. Thank you.
Yeah, computer game analogy comes to mind. And then there's nothing wrong anywhere, is there? But the ego will definitely feel, but the opportunity, otherwise finger pointing comes. But seeing that sound like a good game, what am I identifying with? But from that strength and that self-respect. Oh yeah, nice. So we're in the game, we're in the workshop. We'll come back to present.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. And I thought there were some questions, or are there any questions?
There is one. You use the word interest, and maybe you can just remind us the context. Perhaps it was connected to being in the box. Having an interest in something, does it necessarily mean?
No, I didn't say interest, getting impressed.
Oh,
So when you get impressed with that is a beginning. You want to then claim it and you want to own it. Interest is neutral.
that makes sense. Yeah, I hope it helps. So when we get impressed, it leads to false identity because we've lost the main reality. Yeah. So there aren't any other questions right now.
Sure. So here we are coming back to our image. Let us make it a straight line. And we saw in this world are lots of goodies here, and we start to create our different identities. I'll give you some examples of these identities that are created and our own personal experience, and also what we see in the world. Sorry. So we are saying that the invisible traveler, he has his world beyond. Let me see if I can make a better face than this. Happy star. So happy star is traveling through this great world, and that is a foreign world. It is not, he is aware it's a story. And there are many stories, just like we gave the example, camel and elephant story. He sees it with the same attitude, and he remains completely free. He remains noble. Only when he starts claiming things and confused, something that is a story, to use it, to believe that he can own it, and then come to the level of identifying, maybe subconsciously, but it is identification. It creates emotions, it creates angers, it creates wars. So these are like a real, even though they are subconscious, they act as if they are real. So that is the way we have created the world. I'll give some examples. One girl, and this is a Cambridge example, she said, before she goes out to work, she tries 8 different dresses. And so it made me think, what is going on here? And when I reflected on it a little bit more, I realized there is a big identity. Everyone identifies with body appearance, but in her case, the identity was obviously much bigger. Identity based upon the body, appearance mainly. And this big identity based on the body, sorry, let us, it is insecure. So she goes to work, and she constantly needs, endorsement. Someone need to say, you look good, your dress is good, and then she's okay. If there is something, this I is insecure, more insecure. And I realized what was happening in her life from young age. Others would tell her that she's very pretty, she's beautiful, she's beautiful. And so this I got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now she goes to work and no one says anything about her. And this big I that is created, that feels a bit uncomfortable. So she buys another dress and no one says anything. People praise someone else's dress. And so she found herself in this big trap. This I created during the early age. And then she has to live with this rest of the life, as if life is wrecked by this identity. This also gives us a message. Don't be lavish in praise. Some of the positive thinking books, people write books on how to win friends, that kind of level books. They say praise people, be lavish at praise, and you win friends, you win business, so that works good for you. You will become rich by flattering everybody. But when you are doing this, you are also feeding their identities. You are feeding their ego, and they are left with this ego rest of their life. So, to be a little cautious with praise, others need feedback. You love someone, give them what is right, what they need to know, how they can improve, then step back. That over the top, praise, it is meant for manipulation, and it is not in the interest of other person. If you are really feeling in the benefit of the other person, I won't feed the ego in other person. Understand, no? So this is like earlier someone was saying, how are you going to deal with friends and connections? And this is one very useful aspect to pay attention. I'll give another example. John Lennon, we mentioned about him earlier. And I happened to hear his interview, which was played, in this interview in 1970s, and he is, uh, swearing actually. He is sort of, don't know what situation, what environment this interview was taken. But at one point, he said, "My life is a torture. Torture. Life is a torture. Someone else creates music, it bothers me. Someone else says something, it bothers me. Life is a torture." And then the next lines he said, "It is because of the ego. Artists create ego. It is not just the artist, everyone creates ego. But as you, at a young age, you get this huge success. Poor fellow, this eye getting bigger and bigger and bigger at a young age. And now he's trapped in this. He has to deal with this eye. Even though everything is going well, can you imagine this? We are talking about John Lennon. Not many people can claim success of the kind he had, and on every front. And then he says, "My life is a torture." Really gives you an idea if you are planning, life, or helping anybody to have a good life in the future. You will be very, very wise to remove these identities in them. Give them tools how they can remove this. Because with that, you are removing the beggar in them, you are removing the victim in them, you are removing the slave in them. That is a huge thing. If you really wish good for them, that is need to be done. To feed their ego is my ignorance. For anyone, if I am taking active steps to feed someone's ego, and it might bring me some immediate friendships or immediate some business, but I am not a friend. We need to know it is my confusion, my ignorance, and out of that I feed the ego in others, and of course I will feed ego in myself as a result. If you are sensible friend, you will think how he can be freed from this. And let me give one hypothetical example. You invite some friends to your place, for a meal. He eats the meal, takes seconds, it appears very content. And then he says he didn't like the meal. He didn't like the food. It is not prepared properly. Someone else prepares better. Will you mind? He says the food was terrible, but someone else prepares nicely. He helps you to where you can learn how to cook. Will you mind? If you mind, why? Why would you mind? You know, he was very honest. He gave you nice feedback. You should be happy.
It's so good to have these examples so we can understand in theory, but it brings it home. I mean, ordinarily that would hurt. Something like that.
Yeah, one you will hurt, and then usually you will blame him. You will try to criticize him, and that is the way most people solve their life.
Yeah, someone's written, you feel they haven't appreciated, they're not a good guest,
Yeah,
blaming them.
this kind of thing. So here, as a spiritual student, we say, wow, this is a chance for me to see what I'm identifying with. If I feel even the slightest offense, you are you are using this opportunity to say, what am I identifying with? And you might find that you may be identifying with certain item of food. You may be identifying with sometimes certain brand. You like certain kind of pasta. You are identifying with those pasta. Or you have created an image of yourself that you always prepare good food. You're a good cook. This kind of image. Everyone likes my food. And then someone doesn't like, what is wrong with him? This is a identity. Once you have observed it, then as was said, 90% job is done, because now you see the absurdity. What am I identifying with? And next time situation comes, it doesn't take the offense, because it is just an identity. And then you are seeing their honest opinion, but they remain your friends. You don't take the offense. You genuinely remain. You have not taken sorrow. You don't give sorrow. I'll give another example. These are some examples to observe. I was in one country, and we had some retreat kind of setup, and guest at that retreat. She asked, "Do you like sauna?" And I said, "I don't like sauna." And so, okay. So the next day she said to me that because you said you don't like sauna, she took the offense. Very unexpected. Why it is an offense? Because sauna was invented by her country. And so she identified with that. But good thing is she observed that she took the offense, and she is taking the offense. Why is she taking the offense? She's noticed that she's identifying with the country, identifying with it because it was in her country. She identifies with the country. So same thing can happen to many here. Some people identify with the president of your country or some prime minister of your country, even though you may not agree with their policies, but you identify with them. You feel others some special place in your country, like if it is India, Taj Mahal. If you are in some place, their White House, there's some special the location people can identify. In this country, in United Kingdom, they might identify with the royal family, and anyone says anything about them, they mind it, because even though they have not been to London, they have not seen the Queen, but they identify with the people in the certain family. We have to observe. Am I identifying? And you are not necessarily helping in the anybody by identifying. One question for you. Does this identification serves any positive purpose? Is it necessary? Some might say in the evolution process, this identification helps to protect something. Does it help? Is it a positive thing? Is it got evolutionary benefits? ego?
Great question. Well, one answer is no so far. If there
Or
are
any benefit of any kind with these identities? Do they serve any positive purpose?
I sense some hesitation. When someone wears a uniform, it's immediately seen. Not quite sure. Evolution under the line. So below the line kind of evolution. It can make you look strong, is one comment. So it appears like an angry boss maybe looks, has more power, type of thing, or an egotistical. No part of drama. It has
Yeah,
no part because you can't
yeah,
learn about the true self.
yeah.
It
Let
only
me
gives you temporary feelings. Identification creates fear.
give an example. Say you are washing plates in the house. You are driving car to go to your work. You don't identify with the work you have done at home. You don't identify being a driver, but you are working maybe just 2 hours as the advisor to the king, science advisor to the king. 2 hours a month, you might use it as an identification. Even though you spend so many hours driving and washing dishes, you may be doing lots of things, but you don't use them to identify. So why? Because that is an indulgence. By identifying with this, because that is where you get some status, praise, people will be clapping you. Oh wow, you are the great, advisor to the king. So they are impressed, and that feeds that identity. It is not because that way you will do the job better, not at all. But this identity is created just for indulgence. Say you got two brothers. One brother is the president of the country, other brother is the gardener. You love both of them, but create a identity based upon the president. I am the sister of the president. Sooner or later that will come, or society will give you that identity, and you accept it, and you will introduce yourselves as a sister of so and so, the president. So all of this tells us that these identities don't serve positive purpose. They're all result of ignorance. You have to cross that line into ignorance. They're product of ignorance. And if something is of that kind, its fruit is also negative. If it is coming from that confusion and ignorance, it will not suddenly bring a very positive fruit. Its end result is negative all round for others also and for you also. We are giving so much time to discuss it because it is the seed of lots of human problems, personal, collective, outer, inner, at many levels. That is the cause. If you have structure in your day where you are actively working to remove them, you are very, very wise.
Few questions. Just the last one. Inner and outer. What was that? Someone's written sights. Inner and outer.
Inner outer means your mind level, and the outer is so say your life in the outer life.
So paying
Mind,
attention.
some is disappointment, taking offense, taking insult, angers. This is inner life, and the outer life is what happens to how lucky you are in the world.
Yeah, the subject is worth revising, isn't it? Someone commented that your critic is your guru, which was nice. We learn, don't we, a lot. What's the difference between honest appreciation and feeding someone else's ego? Appreciation of virtue should make it stronger. Could it also be in a positive way?
Just as was said, for some feedback, if you feel there is no need of feedback, they all know what they are doing is right. A silent appreciation is enough. Anything more than that, not many people in the world here have got some lack of self-esteem or something like this. These are very rare cases. And if you want to give them self-respect, give them at the level of the soul rather than at the level of the camel drama. Find a way how you can, in your vision and attitude, help them see the truth about themselves.
It comes back to the point that true self, true you is far superior to anything in the camel and elephant story. So even a really kind, virtuous elephant is still not nearly as wonderful as the true you. So yeah, interesting. Another question. What about complimenting children in the context of a mother raising her child?
Same principle applies. They need feedback, but be cautious with the over complimenting.
I know there are sometimes it's shared to appreciate the effort rather than necessarily spend a lot of time praising the result. So there's a healthier relationship with action as well. How can we teach small children not to identify with worldly things?
And if we do not, if we ourselves are not identifying, that is a huge lesson for others. If we are not keep talking about it and we are not sort of, parading ourselves based on it, that's what they will observe.
So teaching by example. Yeah, so there aren't any other questions right now. And so if there's any, you mentioned our homework was to observe, but if there's anything else you want to add.
Yeah. And let us create another couple of minutes of silence and experience. And would Sarah like to lead?
Yes, sure. It's nice to hold this space collectively because life is a workshop, but here with this attention on this beautiful, clean and clear, invisible living star. And to ask a question of that stage, what is it like to be so free, so full, to not answer with the head, but with the heart? That possibility of not identifying. So there's nothing to defend, nothing to justify. We see this as the invisible presence, living star. And his position is absolutely secure, not limited by the associated temporary role. It is fun. It is a play. Field of action, but not his world. So his lovely, lucky, eternal reality is beyond. And all we have done is to dissect out the true self. So for the rest of the day, it's nice to inquire about this possibility, this position, this entity which is naturally free, sees others in their beauty, independent of the performance, like a beautiful secret. Shanti, thank you. Enjoy the workshop. Workshop starts now. See you tomorrow. Thank you.